eastwards. As a result, the strongest winds in the southwest, they drop out, but we see further windy weather across southern counties, and that snow continues to build up across central parts with a lot of rain elsewhere across the south. Temperatures are dropping to around freezing across southern places. Further north with drier, clearer weather, temperatures similar to last night dropping into negative double figures across some places. Then through tomorrow, it's staying wet across eastern parts. There could even be some winteriness mixed in with the rain here, but nonetheless that rain could lead to some further flooding and travel disruption. Drier elsewhere, just a few showery outbreaks of rain, sleet and hill snow here and there. Maybe some glimmers of sunshine, particularly towards the west, and temperatures for most on the low side. A chilly, cold day generally, especially in the north. Another cold day to come as we go into Saturday. Mostly dry, mostly bright for many places. Some showery bursts towards the west and also towards the east. Then worth bearing in mind later on as we go through the weekend, while Sunday starts dry and largely cold, we are going to see a weather system coming in from the west, and as that bashes into that cold air that we have across us, well, there's the potential for some further disruptive snow. We'll have more on that nearer the time. That's it for me. I'll see you again soon.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's a brand new year and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date.
£85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate.
An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law,
the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
You show that our diversity isn't a weakness, but our greatest strength.
Stand up against any form of racism and be proud of the diversity of our society and our country.
Diversity in our society is a strength.
well, the Met Police hired a black child rapist because they wanted to fill their diversity numbers. And
the way this government is doing it, well, looking at some of the stats, it's going to start to benefit huge numbers of foreign-born people. And that goes back to this point. We have to prioritise British-born people.
Rachel Reeves has called Nigel Farage a racist for only wanting British families to get benefits. Plus,
that man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on. Get out of my pub.
well, the news today is that Labour is about to U-turn on its plan to destroy pubs. And batten down the hatches, everybody. Storm Goretti is set to batter Britain this evening. What I want from you, please, is for you to go to GBViews at gbnews.uk and send us in your extreme weather pictures. So if you're bunkered up, if things are being blown over outside, I mean, stay safe, obviously, but send it to us. That's Brighton. You're looking at live images from Brighton there. So over the course of the show, what we'd really like to see is pictures of what is supposedly, anyway, going to be a very extreme weather night where you are. Also, breaking tonight. There are massive protests this evening in Iran. Apparently, every single one of their 31 provinces has got protests against the radical Islamist regime. Supposedly, there is now a full internet and telephone blackout in Iran. Some videos are still managing to find their way smuggled out of that country as the brave people of Iran rise up against their Islamist oppressors. Will the Ayatollah have to flee tonight? It's certainly looking that way. Will they decide to, for want of a better phrase, go nuclear and start shooting their own people? We'll bring you all of the latest developments from Iran and crucially ask as well, how is this going to affect us? We know that there are Iranian terrorist sleeper cells right here in Britain. What will the fall of the Ayatollah mean for us? Plus, protests erupt in Minneapolis after an immigration enforcement agent shot a woman dead. And nice. Primary school teachers are set to go on strike because children keep biting them. Yeah. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Labour's backing foreigners over Brits again. Next.
Good evening, it's 3 minutes past 9. I'm Katie Bowen in the GB newsroom. A rare red weather warning has been issued for parts of England as Storm Goretti bears down on the UK. Winds are expected to suddenly surge, potentially reaching 100 miles an hour later this evening. With the Met Office warning, there's a danger to life. More than 25,000 homes in the southwest of England are currently without power, according to the National Grid's website. And dozens of schools have already been closed tomorrow. Forecasters say Goretti is rapidly intensifying into a so-called weather bomb, with rare red wind warnings also in force for Jersey and avalanche alerts issued for Snowdon in Wales. Live pictures on your screen from Cornwall, where that storm is battering the beach there. More on that breaking story and that weather as we get it. Elsewhere today, speaking from the White House, Vice President J.D. Vance said that President Trump stands with all law enforcement officers after a woman was fatally shot by a US immigration agent in Minneapolis. The Department of Homeland Security says 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good was a violent rioter who tried to run over immigration and customs enforcement officers. They claim the agent fired in self-defence, but local leaders have flatly rejected that account. Protests have erupted in the city throughout the day. Speaking a short while ago, Vice President J.D. Vance hit out at reporting of the incident, saying Ms. Good's death was a tragedy of her own making.
This was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. Media wants to tell the truth. They ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The President stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers.
Protests are continuing across Iran this evening as President Trump threatens the country with hell if protesters are targeted. In an interview today, the president said that he'll hit Iran very hard if they start killing protesters. At least 21 people, including security forces, have been killed since the demonstrations began, according to local media reports. There are further reports tonight that there is an internet blackout in place across the country, with large crowds gathering in Tehran. More updates as we get them from Iran. And ministers are preparing to U-turn on business rates for pubs, with fresh support expected to be announced in the coming days, GB News understands. The industry had been bracing for steep rises after plans were unveiled to end COVID-era discounts, prompting warnings that many pubs simply wouldn't survive. Now, government sources say a new package is incoming, likely to include rates relief and cuts to licensing red tape after an outcry from landlords. Cabinet Minister Pat McFadden says ministers recognise how economically and culturally important pubs are, but Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch says the move is too little, too late. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Patrick.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Good evening. Just before we carry on with the show as planned, I want to give you an urgent update on the ongoing situation in Iran. We are seeing footage now of protests breaking out in all of 31 provinces in Iran. So the country basically is now in open revolt, as far as we can tell. There have been several casualties. At least 36 people reported so far. The true number is clearly much higher. The development as we have it now is that there is a nationwide blackout going on. So the Ayatollah's Islamist regime have decided to implement an internet and telephone blackout right across the country to try to suppress the communication. This is an ongoing situation. It's not going away, and it looks as though we have now maybe finally reached a tipping point in Iran. I'm going to talk to you over the course of the show about what this means, keep you right up to date with everything that's going on, speak to several guests as well on it, but also I want to emphasise why this matters to us here in Britain. This is the fall of an Islamist regime, but it's an Islamist regime that has got its tentacles right into the West. It's responsible for funding so many of the terror groups that have attacked us here in Britain, and the Director General of MI5 reported in late 2024 that MI5 has responded to 20 Iran-backed terrorist plots in Britain in the last few years. So this is big for us. It does matter to Britain, and in no small part, of course, it's because our various leaders right here and across Europe have decided to let Iranian radicals into Britain for the course of the last 20 years or so. So, look, we're going to keep you right up to date with what's going on in Iran. Huge, huge news there, and, of course, very important for us here in Britain. But back closer to home for now. Today, Labour and Reform went to war over the two-child benefit cap. Rachel Reeves branded Nigel Farage a racist for not wanting foreigners to splurge off the benefits system. Reform's policy is this: scrap the child benefit because it benefits a huge number of foreign-born people. Labour's policy is this. Scrap it entirely. Families claiming universal credit or child tax credit can apply for additional support for all their children, regardless of family size. Labour's plan will cost approximately £2.3 billion in 2026 to 2027, rising to £3 billion per year by 2030. Now, this will disproportionately go to families of Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Somali and Nigerian heritage. And that is what Nigel Farage doesn't want to happen.
The way this government is doing it, well, looking at some of the stats, it's going to start to benefit huge numbers of foreign-born people. And that goes back to this point. We have to prioritise British-born people.
Well, Rachel Reeves has now suggested that he's actually a racist. So don't. That makes me pretty angry. Does Nigel Farage want to go around and say, white, yeah, you can have the money, black, no, I'm sorry, it's not for you? What sort of country does he think we are? If you're the mum next door who works in the NHS, has lived here all her life, her kids lived here all their life, but she was born somewhere else, we're saying that family deserves to grow up in poverty, whereas the one next door doesn't. That's not the sort of country I believe in. Those are Rachel Reeves' words. Well, I'll tell you what country I don't believe in, Chancellor. I don't believe that Britain should be a cash cow for foreign nationals to come, get social housing and benefits, have as many kids as they want and expect hard-working British taxpayers to pay for them. In the last few days alone, it's emerged that asylum seekers are going to get brand new council houses right across the country. In fact, on current trends, half of all new homes built by 2030 will be occupied by newly arrived migrants. The first priority of any government should be to protect its own citizens. And by that, I mean people who were born here, not people from far-flung corners of the world that broke into Britain or we gave passports to so that they could treat this country like a breeding ground. I don't think there's anything racist about that. But let's get the views of my panel. This evening, we are joined by Reform UK candidate Orla Minahan. We've got Tory peer Lord Bailey and former Labour advisor as well, Matthew Larser. Thank you very much, everybody. Orla, can I start with you? Could you just try to clear up for us, please, what is Reform's policy on the two-child benefit cap? Is it that they want to scrap it entirely, or is it that they want to keep it, but only for British families who are in work?
I think, I think Rachel Reeves just shows her lack of intelligence around this. Just because you're British doesn't mean you're white. Yeah. Sean, are you British?
Born and bred.
Correct. So that's the difference. So what he's saying is Nigel's saying he doesn't want people to come here immediately, claim benefits, and then start multiplying. Yeah. And that's essentially what it is. It's nothing to do with the colour of the skin. And her saying that it's, racist because it's only about white people is just absolute nonsense. Everybody knows that. I don't know what...
I'm just so unclear on this. Is it the case that a British-born family who are in work but obviously require some financial help,
yes,
could still have child benefits for more than just two children under reform?
I don't know the ins and outs of the policy, I will be honest. But from what I can understand, it is just a fact of Reform is saying they don't want people to come into this country, start multiplying en masse, and then claiming benefits and never, ever giving anything back to the economy. Okay. That's all it says. It's nothing to do with colour. It's nothing to do with anything. It's nothing to do with religion. It's to do with people that are born here and contribute to the system. That's simply it.
OK. Sean, what's your understanding of this war now between Labour and Reform when it comes to child benefits? And where are the Tories in this?
So what I would say is Rachel Reeves is showing that she's a very low-grade politician. She immediately took the step to make it about race, to make Nigel seem like he was evil. What she needs to think about, actually, is who gets access to the public purse. I personally think that we should keep the two-child cap, because what you're seeing now is poor families who are being trapped on benefit. That's the words of our current Prime Minister who said that. And then you're looking at one of the biggest pull factors to people making a trip on small boats, to people who want to move to this country anyway. And let's be very clear, if you want to help a poor family, you don't have to do it through the two-child benefit cap. You can do it through, let's say, cutting their tax, making work pay. That would be the most efficient way to do that. We help people with their housing costs, we help people with their health costs, all kinds of things. So the idea that you have to do it for the two-child benefit cap is ridiculous. but it also sends a very poor message about what we want to do about getting people into the country. That's why I think on this, Nigel is at least looking in the correct direction. We in the Conservative Party always said we think the cap should stay. We really do think the cap should stay.
OK, so where are you on this? Because Rachel Reeves appears to have kind of gone full tonto on calling out Nigel Farage for supposed racism. But you know, the facts are out there, and it is that Bangladeshi, Somali, Pakistani and Nigerian families are going to disproportionately benefit from the scrapping of the two-child benefit cap. So is that really fair to hard-working Brits?
Well, I think this shows just how all over the shop Reform are when it comes to detail of policy, because I've sat on this sofa when it was not Labour's policy to scrap it because Labour didn't have the money, but Reform said, let's do it straight away, let's scrap it for everybody. And now they're turning around and said, it's not... What's interesting about this, but what my understanding of the Reform policy is it's not just... we have to have both parents have to be born here, and both parents have to be in work, which is crucial because say you've got... So that means that you could have both parents can be born here, but you've got one parent's disabled and one parent's in work. You'd be capped if you were the third kid in that family. You wouldn't be getting any extra support under this policy.
I suppose whether or not they decide to obviously make a concession for people who are in that situation. But yeah, just to clarify, Reform's actual policy on this is that they are going to vote against Rachel Reeves' plans because they think that it's too broad. However, the party currently would be in favour of removing the cap for, quote, British working couples. And that was said just a couple of days ago. So what's wrong with that, Sean? Is there anything wrong with that?
It's a poor use of our money. You get
even for British working couples.
Yes, because you get into arguments about are you British? Are you British enough? When were you born? Where were you born? Are you this, that, and the other? What we need to do actually is stop this paternalistic government that we have. We need to get people back into work and make work pay. All of this is going to be undone by the fact that they're holding on to the tax brackets. That will wipe out anything you gain from this anyway in a couple of years when that kicks in. So what the government should be doing is demonstrating to have a plan, because what this really says, Rachel Reeves has absolutely no plan at all. And anybody who doubts me only needs to look at the story when we talk about what they're doing with the pubs. They are flip-flopping depending on what's coming up in the latest polls. And what you know about that is if you had a real plan, you wouldn't U-turn, because U-turning means your plan is not working. Their plan is not working because they do not have a plan.
I mean, obviously, Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer are going to come out and try and use the kind of racism line.
Well, that's always the party line.
So why is it not racist to only want British working couples to be able to access, to scrap the two-child benefit cap for them?
I think we see that that British people. The birth rate is plummeting, right? And that's a fact. So we have to do something about that for a start. Most people nowadays will have... Well, I read a thing the other day about how Gen Z, which is the new... are favouring dogs, having a dog instead of having children, because it's just frankly too expensive, right? And it's too much grief as well,
as we know. Wait until that dog gets ill and see the vet bill.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, we need to encourage people to reproduce, right? That's a fact. And the fact is that how many people do you know have got 1, 2 children? Very, very rarely do people have more than 2 or 3 anymore, because they just simply can't afford it. It's just...
There's 2 groups of people who can afford 3 children. The very, very rich, or people who are trapped on benefits.
Correct.
Right, and I remember when a Conservative MP said that he was destroyed, but it's become our reality.
It is,
yes. And when you talk about British couples getting money, let's ask ourselves what everybody else in the world does. The French, you can't just arrive and claim benefits. It's a pull factor as well. The French say you have to be here and have paid in a little bit. Maybe we need to go that way. As well. The point is, it shouldn't be about if you're black, white, blue, green, but it should be about what contribution you have made now and into the future.
So just so we're clear, Labour's current policy, as I understand it, is that you can come from wherever in the world, and as long as you are here in Britain and claiming another form of benefit, you
can't just come from wherever you are in the world, Patrick. You have to have the legal rights to stay here.
Well,
this isn't just
very
you can't
easy,
just walk in. No, it's not. It's not that easy,
and
that's why this goes alongside things like Labour getting a lot tougher on indefinite leave to remain, which is, as you say, effectively the passport to stay in Britain for as long as you like. So the Boris way.
Let me give you the example of Abd al-Fattah. OK? So he's just been welcomed into Britain to great fanfare by the Labour lot. So he comes here now, and his family are here, and he's got a child. Now, let's just say, for some reason, Abd al-Fattah and his family have to go on benefits, and he decides to have 2 or 3 or 4 more children. Under your policy, we would have to pay for all his kids, wouldn't we?
There's a qualifying time anyway, and by the sound of it, he may well be leaving the country in short order anyway, and a lot of people including the chairman of the Tory party, wrote a letter in support of him originally. I think everybody was mistaken. Clearly, he's a very unpleasant person. But Rachel's example that Rachel used is absolutely right. If you've got somebody who was born overseas, they've come here and they're working, they're working, they're paying taxes. Both parents are working. They have an extra kid. They're getting a little bit of top up from working families from tax credits. Yet they're not going to be. They're going to be penalised. But that is what's going to happen under this policy.
Yeah, but what's also going to happen, Matthew, isn't it, is that everyone who comes over on a small boat, who is then granted indefinite leave to remain or an asylum case or whatever, who can't work because they don't speak the language, and it turns out actually that they're not really employable anyway, because they're not all brain surgeons, and they then decide to find a lady, and they have a child, and then they have a couple more children, we're under this policy, aren't we? Well,
no, because they will have to work because everybody has to be actively seeking work to qualify for the benefits unless they've got a disability.
There's a huge difference between actively seeking work. The other weakness of our system is people who lay this out don't seem to understand. People game the system. This actively seeking work. There's several 100,000 people in this country actively seeking work, while those people who are breaking their backs of paying.
We need to be tougher on that, I agree.
But here's the key thing. This conversation should be about cutting tax for people at the bottom end so work pays.
Yes, exactly.
This conversation should be about cutting NI so people can employ people. That's how you get a country moving. That's how you get people taking responsibility for their own children.
If you have a nurse and a policeman, for example, and together they're married and they're trying to pay a mortgage, etc., they cannot afford to have more than one, maximum two children, because the childcare costs are off the clock. I saw a woman the other day. I had two women the other day in a supermarket. Both of them were. Well, they couldn't speak a word of English, and they had 9 children between them, and both pregnant.
Well, you see
and
it all
I looked
the time.
and I just thought...
You do see it all the time. I'm sorry, but you do. And I notice it more now because I've got a young son.
Yeah.
When you walk around, you notice who is walking around with loads of kids and who isn't.
Yeah.
And quite often you think, well, how are people paying for all of those children? And I just wonder. It makes you wonder. But
of course,
Anyway, so there we go. Look, there is a clear battle line being drawn at the moment, and I just think those kind of outdated things, and also Rachel Rees seeming to confuse being British with being white.
Yes, absolutely.
Did that offend you, Sean?
I'm deeply offended.
Deeply offended.
I am Lord Bailey of Paddington because I was born in Paddington. I consider myself entirely and totally and completely British.
So, ironically, she's been a bit racist, possibly.
It would appear.
Yeah, but under Nigel Farage's policy, my family wouldn't have been able to do that because my dad was born in Australia. So, I mean, this is... Let's just look at the detail and it collapses.
He came here and he worked hard. Anyway, there we go.
But he could have still claimed he'd have still been excluded.
Okay, right, a government spokesperson said the vast majority of social homes in this country will go to British nationals, and priority is given to local people who need it most. People who arrive in the country illegally or migrants on student or work visas cannot access social housing. Work is well underway to shut every asylum hotel, with more suitable sites such as disused military bases coming on stream to ease pressure on communities and cut asylum costs. We're working closely with local councils and property partners to speed up delivery. Right, there we go. Now, we've got a lot coming your way, lots of fast-moving breaking news to bring you. But before that, of course, we do have to say, here's £85,000 in tax-free cash. I see you can have as many kids as you want with that. There could be in it to win it.
That's like last year.
It's a brand new year, and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. £85,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year the best yet. And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. Imagine what the coming year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank. You can have the complete Lapland experience all in one place by visiting the Northern Lights Village. Or just safe in the knowledge that this year is on us. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
OK, well, coming up, Storm Goretti is currently battering the nation. You are looking at live shots from Cornwall at the moment. Red weather warnings have been issued amid a 100-mile-per-hour wind and snow warning. What we would like from you, and do this safely, don't go outside and get knocked over by a flying wheelie bin or something like that, but go to GBViews at gbnews.uk. We'd like to see your pictures or maybe even little video clips of how bad the storm is where you are. If there's lots of snow, all of that stuff. It's gbviews at gbnews.uk as Britain battens down the hatches. But before that...
That man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on. Get out of my pub.
Well, it looks like Labour might be about to U-turn on something again. I'll reveal all next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to
stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight. Iran is now in full revolt. All of Iran's 31 provinces are in open rebellion against the Ayatollahs. Big question marks now as to whether or not Iran's Ayatollahs have already left the country. Strong rumours swirling online, nothing confirmed. Of course, it's been reported that they have been in talks to flee to Moscow. What we are seeing, though, now is a nationwide blackout. So the Iranian Ayatollah's henchmen have turned off internet and telephone systems around the country to try to suppress communication, of course. But the fact is that thanks to things like Starlink and X and all of that, the truth gets out there, and people have taken to the streets right across the country. There are parts of many major cities that are on fire. They are going after the Iranian regime. In many cases, it appears the Iranian regime has fired back. We're expecting there to be huge, huge casualties. And again, I will just stress, this is important for Britain. It's important for Europe. It is the fall, obviously, of the world's probably most notorious Islamist regime that has been funding terrorism right across Europe for a long period of time. But also, Iran does have sleeper cells here in Britain. Over the course of this show, I've got a couple of guests lined up for you, including one man later on who was nearly killed in Britain by the Ayatollah's henchmen. We'll keep you right up to date as Iran looks set to fall. But before that, is the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, right to U-turn on the business rate hikes for British pubs? It's time for the head-to-head. She came for the pensioners, she had to U-turn. She came for the farmers, she had to do a UE. And now Chancellor Rachel Reeves is preparing to do another screeching U-turn on her tax rate on pubs. So she scaled back business rate discounts that have been in force since the pandemic and announced that there would be no discount at all from April in her November budget. But that is combined with big changes in business rates, of course, national insurance for employers, etc., the rise in minimum wage and the banter ban. But the government have faced a massive backlash. More than 1,000 landlords banned Labour from their pubs, and now reports tonight suggest that the Treasury might be about to do a U-turn. So, going head-to-head on this now are the campaign director for the Campaign for Pubs and the chair of the British Pub Confederation, it's Greg Mulholland, and the founder of Turn Left, it's Chris Daly. Chaps, thank you very, very much. Greg, why should Rachel Reeves do a U-turn?
Well, I think this U-turn was absolutely inevitable, probably actually more inevitable than the others. And it's a combination of factors. You know, to be fair to the Chancellor and the government, it's because of decisions that they took, which we think were the wrong decisions at the wrong time to reduce rate relief. But at the same time, the new figures from the revaluation came forward, which had an absolutely astronomical hike in the business rate values, the rateable values for pubs, which then would have a knock-on effect and put rates up. Now, I need to point out that that isn't the fault of the government. However, the system that has been put in place for that revaluation is something that the government has overseen, and it's the wrong system for pubs that pay too much. So ultimately, and I don't think anyone would agree with that from any side, the government promised genuine reform, and that's what we need longer term as well as a U-turn in the short term.
Curtis, I'll bring you in here. So Labour MPs have been banned from pubs, but you're also seeing big, prominent Labour backers like Kerridge, the celebrity chef, of course, also Sacha Lord, who was like a kind of nighttime czar. They've now come out. They're slamming the government on this. Is a U-turn the right thing to do, Curtis?
First of all, I think it's very funny that you've got Labour MPs being banned from pubs. I think it's quite funny. I kind of understand. Look, I'm not actually against cutting taxes for small pubs. You know, the hospitality industry, I've worked in the hospitality industry for years. I've worked in pubs, and it's a very low profit margin industry for many people. So adding tax burdens on smaller pubs and even medium-sized pubs is actually quite a big financial burden. So I'm actually not against slashing business rates. The point I do want to make, though, is I feel like, let's say Rachel Reeves does that, she keeps rates low or slashes them. This time next year, we're probably still going to have the same conversation about rescuing the national pub, because I feel like there's a wider economic problem. And I was looking at some numbers, and Punch Pubs did a report. Between 45 and 55% of pubs are basically paying in rent. So half of their revenue is going on to rent. And I feel like the many problems that landlords are facing is the same problems that maybe an individual as a tenant is facing. And they're paying extortionate amounts in rent. And I think it's the duty of the government to come in and make sure that life is easier for smaller businesses and pubs, because I think we need to get out of this sort of Thatcherite mindset where we only support things that bring in lots of money, whereas actually I think part of the government's responsibility is to protect the things we love and cherish, and that is the pub. So I'd be happy to see maybe reducing tax rates, but I think that's a smaller issue. I want to see us maybe have a state-owned commercial property enterprise which means we can subsidise cheaper rents for smaller pubs and medium-sized pubs.
All right, guys, look, so very sorry about this because we've got this big breaking news going on in Iran, so we're going to have to part company now, I'm afraid. But thank you very, very much, both of you. I'll have you both back on again very, very soon. There's a campaign for pubs and the chair of the British Pub Confederation, Greg Mulholland, and the founder of Turn Left Media, Curtis Daly. It does look as though another Labour U-turn is on the cards. I mean, how many will that be now? But coming up... Has the Ayatollah fled Iran? Will the US be about to get involved in a more kind of direct military way? Because it looks as though, from reports online, that the Iranian military is actually killing protesters. So that was the red line for the US. What are we about to see happening in Iran, and what will it mean for us? All of that very shortly. But before that, teachers in Manchester, they're going on strike amid a tidal wave of violence in classrooms. But not just any teachers. They are primary school teachers. They're being bitten too often by children who are also bringing in knives. That's next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The cold winds and the snow not just confined to the UK. In and around the Mediterranean, pretty blustery, and some heavy snow likely over the Alps. First really big dumps for some here of the winter. Some showery rain for the Algarve. It's generally fine in the Canaries. Showery rain moving into Italy and across Croatia and further south too for Greece. We'll continue to see the weather pretty mixed in Italy with further showers and some gusty cold winds to come. The weather remains pretty fine in Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, very good evening to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Storm Goretti is battering the southern half of the UK, bringing heavy rain, some significant snow and damagingly strong winds to the southwest of the UK in particular. The low itself is tracking its way eastwards across southern parts, bringing a lot of unsettled weather. With that, there are a number of warnings out, including an amber for snow as we go through the night across Wales and the Midlands, but particularly a rare red warning for parts of Cornwall where gusts are exceeding 80 to 100 miles per hour, leading to some severe disruption here. As we go overnight, Goretti makes its way eastwards. As a result, the strongest winds in the southwest, they drop out, but we see further windy weather across southern counties, and that snow continues to build up across central parts with a lot of rain elsewhere across the south. Temperatures are dropping to around freezing across southern places. Further north with drier, clearer weather, temperatures similar to last night dropping into negative double figures across some places. Then through tomorrow, it's staying wet across eastern parts. There could even be some winteriness mixed in with the rain here, but nonetheless that rain could lead to some further flooding and travel disruption. Drier elsewhere, just a few showery outbreaks of rain, sleet and hill snow here and there. Maybe some glimmers of sunshine, particularly towards the west, and temperatures for most on the low side. A chilly, cold day generally, especially in the north. Another cold day to come as we go into Saturday. Mostly dry, mostly bright for many places. Some showery bursts towards the west and also towards the east. Then worth bearing in mind later on as we go through the weekend, while Sunday starts dry and largely cold, we are going to see a weather system coming in from the west. And as that bashes into that cold air that we have across us, well, there's the potential for some further disruptive snow. We'll have more on that nearer the time. That's it for me. I'll see you again soon.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, Iran has reached a tipping point, I think it's fair to say, and news is coming in minute by minute. We've got police headquarters in Mashhad, the second largest city in Iran, apparently, currently on fire. I'm also looking at images from, frankly, just right across Iran's 31 provinces at the moment, where, I mean, it must be millions of people are right out on the streets. There's conflicting reports coming in about whether or not the mullahs have already fled. Apparently, well, according to the latest one I'm seeing here from a very trusted media source with connections in Iran, they say that the Ayatollah spoke by phone with Vladimir Putin approximately 2 hours ago, but he may have already left. We don't know. But it appears that we are witnessing the end of the Iranian regime, the end of the Ayatollah. And with that, of course, that comes with certain dangers for Britain. Later on in the show, I'm going to be talking to a man who was nearly killed right here on the streets of Britain simply for opposing the Iranian regime. What you're seeing in Iran will have an impact here where we are. But closer to home again, teachers in Manchester are taking strike action. Why? Well, because of growing violence in primary schools. Yes, apparently they're being bitten a lot. Children are now biting teachers in primary schools and bringing knives into classrooms. Staff at Lily Lane Primary School and Ravensfield Primary School, which I believe are around Manchester, walked out for 2 days this week, with further action planned next week. And a major teaching union has claimed that assaults on staff and pupils are almost a daily occurrence. And their relevant union said at Ravensfield Primary School, teachers say that pupils bite, kick, hit and spit at staff, as well as throwing furniture and bringing knives to school. Good grief. Well, I'm joined now by the Head of Education and Science at the Policy Exchange, Ian Mansfield. Ian Mansfield, we've got a plague of feral kids.
I know. I mean, it's a shocking state of affairs. And, you know, I don't often say this, but this is one strike I'm absolutely behind. No teacher should have to put up with this kind of thing in the classroom, and let alone a primary school teacher. I mean, we're looking at a situation where the management in those schools have completely lost control, and the government is also not doing enough to back them up. It's a very sad state of affairs, and as well as the teachers, of course, we have to think of the other children in those schools, the ones that aren't biting people and carrying knives, and just think about how they feel going into those schools every day, or how you as a parent of one of those children, one of the non-violent children, would feel going in every day. It's an appalling situation.
Who's to blame? The parents?
I wouldn't say that, actually. I would say, because actually if we look across schools in general, I mean, of course, you know, there may be parents involved there, but if you look across the country, there are many schools, most schools, which don't have this sort of problem. This is the sort of problem which can ultimately be traced to school leadership. But in this case, it is also symptomatic of a wider challenge on behaviour across the country. So at Policy Exchange, we did a big polling of teachers a couple of years ago in a report called It Just Grinds Me Down, and it found that 2/3 of teachers had either considered or were considering leaving the profession because of the challenges of bad behaviour. And I think this is just unacceptable. And when you think about it, if you walk into a Greggs to buy a sausage roll, if you look on any Greggs wall, you'll see a sign on the wall which says, you know, abuse towards our staff is unacceptable. And they say you'll be asked to leave, or they'll prosecute you, and so on. Why do we expect teachers to put up with worse working conditions?
Well, we are probably going to hurtle towards a situation where we have CCTV in every classroom, which of course comes with its own concerns, doesn't it? Or police officers or security staff in every classroom as well, and that is a quite dystopian future, I think, isn't it? But this is, as you said there, one teacher strike that you think you can actually get behind, and yeah, the plague and scourge of feral children. Look, I'm just going to park you there for now, Ian. Thank you very, very much. There's a lot of breaking news going on at the moment. So, Ian Mansfield there is the Head of Education and Science at the Policy Exchange. Now, the two schools who are part of this trust, who have apparently been on strike, have released a statement, and Joe Ashcroft, who's the Trust's chief executive, said the safety and well-being of pupils and staff in all of our schools is of the very highest priority to us, and we work closely with every one of our schools to ensure they maintain the very highest safeguarding standards at all times. However, it's disappointing in this case that strike action is taking place so soon after the ballot without adequate opportunity to respond to members' concerns, and despite the Trust having engaged ACAS to offer collective conciliation, which the union chose not to accept. I mean, OK, I'm just going to put the other side of this up. I mean, is there remotely the chance that some of these teachers wanted to go on strike and blamed a plight of feral children in order to walk out? I don't know. Maybe not. I'm inclined to believe them on this one, though. I think we do have a lot of feral children. Anyway, coming up, we have got this massive breaking news tonight. What you could hear there was gunshots in Iran. And those are gunshots, we believe, from the regime, from the Ayatollah's regime, towards protesters. Remember, this was a red line for President Trump. He said if they started killing protesters, he'd go in. So will he now? Iran and the Ayatollah appear like they are massively, massively, massively about to fall. I'm going to get you a guest on this in just a second, so stay tuned. Looks like we are living through very, very historic times this evening.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Breaking news this evening. Huge clashes between the Ayatollah's henchmen and demonstrators have erupted right across every single one of Iran's provinces this evening. Huge anti-regime protests are now in their 12th night. It's the biggest yet, and Iran has hit a tipping point. protests have so far spread to 111 cities and towns across all 31 provinces. At least 34 people are dead. Let's be honest, that number is clearly far, far higher. We just haven't been able to update that yet. Why? Because there is currently a nationwide internet and phone signal blackout. One of the things that you will have seen on your screen there, though, very telling this, was a march of Iranian women. They have had enough. Now, if you watch the BBC, they say that this protest is basically all about economic decline. But, of course, we know the truth, really. It's about the fall of the Islamist regime and the Ayatollah. And joining me now is the founder of Iran Front, Vahid Beheshti, a man who was very nearly killed in this country by the Ayatollah's henchmen right here in Britain. Vahid, thank you very, very much. Please, please, please give me the latest from what you're hearing from Iran.
Thank you, Patrick, for having me on your show. As you know, today is the day 1053 of our sit-in protest in front of Foreign Office in King's Charles Street. We are still here day and night since nearly 3 years in order to prescribe IRGC. And now it's the end of this regime. I think our government is very incompetent and that they are not going to prescribe IRGC and the regime will collapse before that. But let's call it, I think, Patrick, you call it very right, compared to any of the reporters and any of the journalists that I saw in past 12 days. This is full-scale revolution, Iranian national revolution. As far as I understand, more than 136 cities. I don't know much for past 3 hours. The internet has been shut down all over the country. More than, you said 34, and you said we don't have enough information. What I know is more than 60 people so far. I don't know how many of my compatriots tonight they have been shot dead, because when they shut down the internet, that's a sign that they are going to go for mass killing in different cities.
Just on that, it's an important point. So as far as you understand, you think that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard has very much started shooting in a big way these protesters?
Definitely. This is what happened 5-6 years ago. They shut down internet for 3 days and they killed more than 1,500 innocent people. And tonight is the sign of that. When they shut down the internet completely, that is that. But this is, as you said, this is misleading. When you see some reporters, some news channels, like BBC, they say this is economic uprising. Yes, start with merchants, start from bazaar, but this is full-scale revolution with the aim of overthrowing this evil regime. The people of Iran had enough. These great people of one of the wealthiest country, 5th wealthiest country, reduced to the victim of poverty and struggling today. They have nothing to lose, Patrick, except revolution. And as you see, they are confronting their Ayatollah's agents with bare hands, and they're risking their life, and they're not going to stop. Let me make this clear, Patrick. This is very important on your show. We Iranian at this time, as you know, we are very diverse, but we all are united on one thing. This regime must go. We want freedom. But where we are not united, who comes to power, who takes over? This is where we don't have to go near it now, because we need all unity.
Vahid, can I just come in there? Sorry, exactly. That question about who fills this vacuum is possibly maybe a story for tomorrow. But the reason I want to ask you this, you have nearly lost your life on the streets of Britain because you were attacked by the Ayatollah's henchmen here. We know that there are Iranian terrorist sleeper cells here in Britain. We know that they've been targeting the English Channel. We know that there are bases for the Ayatollah here as well. So, Vahid, what does what we're looking at on our screens now in Iran, mean for us here in Britain?
This is, I'm talking to my the British citizen, to my friends, to the people who I lived with them for 28 years, for this beautiful country that they gave me when I came as a refugee. They gave me my right. They gave me freedom. They gave me this freedom for 1,053 days act. This is my message to them. This is not the problem of Iranian people. This is your problem, because the Iranian regime is the source of this mad extreme Islamic Islamist ideology that we are witnessing in the streets of London, in the streets of different European cities. Now, Iranian people are fighting for all of us. They are fighting with this evil regime to get rid of this regime. Now is the time to help them. They don't ask for much. They are fighting for us. They're risking their life. We need to help them. President Trump promised, he said he's going to help them. We have to see how it's going to go.
Exactly.
But this is not the time to be quiet. I'm talking to Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer, you've been quiet for a long time. What is your principle when it comes to human rights, when it comes to your own citizens?
Vahid, I'm going to pause you. I'm going to see you again at 11 p.m. Hopefully, my good man. Thank you very much. All the latest on the fall of the Ayatollah here and some devastating stories about ridiculous diversity schemes in Britain. All of that next.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good evening to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Storm Goretti is battering the southern half of the UK, bringing heavy rain, some significant snow and damagingly strong winds to the southwest of the UK in particular. The low itself is tracking its way eastwards across southern parts, bringing a lot of unsettled weather. With that, there are a number of warnings out, including an amber for snow as we go through the night across Wales and the Midlands, but particularly a rare red warning for parts of Cornwall where gusts are exceeding 80 to 100 miles per hour, leading to some severe disruption here. As we go overnight, Goretti makes its way eastwards. As a result, the strongest winds in the southwest, they drop out, but we see further windy weather across southern counties, and that snow continues to build up across central parts with a lot of rain elsewhere across the south. Temperatures are dropping to around freezing across southern places. Further north with drier, clearer weather, temperatures similar to last night dropping into negative double figures across some places. Then through tomorrow, it's staying wet across eastern parts. There could even be some winteriness mixed in with the rain here, but nonetheless that rain could lead to some further flooding and travel disruption. Drier elsewhere, just a few showery outbreaks of rain, sleet and hill snow here and there. Maybe some glimmers of sunshine, particularly towards the west, and temperatures for most on the low side. A chilly, cold day generally, especially in the north. Another cold day to come as we go into Saturday. Mostly dry, mostly bright for many places. Some showery bursts towards the west and also towards the east. Then worth bearing in mind later on as we go through the weekend, while Sunday starts dry and largely cold, we are going to see a weather system coming in from the west. And as that bashes into that cold air that we have across us, well, there's the potential for some further disruptive snow. We'll have more on that nearer the time. That's it for me. I'll see you again soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello from the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland. We're on an amazing Arctic adventure to celebrate our greatest cash giveaway, a simply stunning £85,000. And in 2026, we're giving you the chance to win it all.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys, and tonight the Ayatollah is falling. What you are looking at there is an Iranian revolution. It has now come to every single city in Iran. People are out on the streets, women especially in many areas out on the streets, which says a lot, doesn't it, given the Islamist regime over there. This is also a day for serious celebration for the some 75,000 Iranians who emigrated to Britain following the 1979 Islamic Revolution. We're going to be talking to people here in Britain. One man who was nearly killed by Iran's henchmen here in Britain. We don't know where the Ayatollah is at the moment. Has he fled to Russia? Is he still in Iran? We'll bring you all of the updates on that. But Iran has now turned off all of their internet communications, all of their phone lines, etc. And the concern is that they have started massacring protesters, which of course was a red line for President Trump. He said that they would go in, or they would certainly clap back on the Ayatollah if that happened. You need to watch this space right now, because the fall of that Islamist regime, an Islamist regime that has funded terrorism here in Britain to an absolutely unprecedented scale, looks as though it is about to fall. What a night. Also tonight,
you show that our diversity isn't a weakness, but our greatest strength.
Stand up against any form of racism and be proud of the diversity of our society and our country.
Diversity in our society is a strength.
Well, is it really? Because the Metropolitan Police hired a black man who happened to be a child rapist because they wanted to fill their diversity numbers. And, well, batten down the hatches, everybody. Storm Goretti is set to batter Britain this evening. These are live footage from Brighton. We've got live cameras from Cornwall right across the UK. I want your pictures, please, of how you are dealing with this storm. Go to GBViews at gbnews.uk. Send those in. Don't take any risks. Don't go outside and get hit by a flying wheelie bin or anything like that. Make sure you get us the pictures in, though. We want to see how the storm is affecting you where you are. And on my panel tonight, we are joined by Reform UK candidate Orla Minahan. We also have Tory peer Lord Bailey and the former Labour Party advisor Matthew Larser. But Iran is not the only place, of course, where there are massive protests this evening, on admittedly a smaller scale. In Minneapolis, there are protests after an immigration enforcement agent shot a woman dead after she tried to drive her car at him.
No! No!
The people of Iran have had enough. They are in full-scale revolution this evening. You're looking at footage on your screens there of cars burning, Iranian regime headquarters being torched, being attacked. Millions of people in Iran have taken to the streets, not just in one town or one city, but as we understand it, in every single Iranian city all of the 31 provinces. There are lots and lots and lots of casualties, and that is clear from some of the footage that we are seeing. We simply will not be able to get you an accurate number of those casualties for some time, though. Why? Because the Iranian Ayatollah's regime has implemented an internet and telephone blackout across the country. Some people somehow are still managing to smuggle some footage out. We are getting that for you here at GB News, and we will bring that to you. It's worth noting why this is really important for us, OK? This isn't just the fall of a depraved, despotic Islamist somewhere far away, which, of course, it is that, but it's also about Britain. There were some 75,000 or so Iranians who came to Britain in 1979 after the Iranian Revolution. There was also, as well, huge Iranian Ayatollah state-sponsored terrorism right here in the UK. Right here in the UK. MI5 have warned about it. They've foiled 20 late-stage Iranian terrorist attacks in the last few years and counting, and they're just the ones they're happy to tell us about. We've seen reports that people have been coming across on small boats and lorries who are part of the Iranian regime. We also have seen anti-Ayatollah activists here in Britain. I just spoke to one moments ago. We're going to speak to him again in about an hour's time, who have been, well, attempted to be assassinated right on the streets of Britain, right here in London, where I am now, for their views. This is going to have a huge ripple effect right across the world. It matters to Britain, and it matters clearly, as you are seeing, to the people of Iran. I think it is a cause worth celebrating wherever we see the end of a vile Islamist regime. Now, we've not got sound on what you're seeing on your screens right now, but I'll talk you through it. You've seen people running away. That was, we believe anyway, and it's been reported at the moment, that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard opened fire on protesters. What did President Trump say he would do if that happened? He said he would get involved. So there's a couple of things that could happen tonight, and I think probably will happen tonight anyway, and we'll bring those to you, is that we are going to be seeing increased reports of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard attacking protesters, firing at will, and we can expect a huge death toll, very sadly there, for those brave protesters. The other thing that we need to be watching out for is whether or not the Ayatollah is fleeing. He may have fled already. He's been in talks with Moscow. The latest I've seen from a trusted source in Iran was that he spoke with the Putin regime 2 hours ago. There are conflicting reports, though, it must be said, with some people saying that they've already left. We don't know. We'll bring that to you as we get it. The other thing to watch out for, obviously, is American involvement and American missiles, or whatever they decide to do, hitting Iran. This is huge news. We've got it all here on GB News, and we'll also report the facts, which is that this is not really about the Iranian economy, and, OK, that might have been a factor. This really is the fact that the Iranian people have risen up against the Ayatollah and a radical, despotic Islamist regime. We'll bring you all the latest as we get it here on GB News, and in fact, in about 10 minutes' time, I've got a national security guest who's going to tell us what this means for the people of Iran, but also, of course, crucially, what this means for us here in Britain. A consequence of Britain and Europe's immigration policy in the last 10 or 20 years is simply that whenever there's a major event like what you're seeing like this, anywhere around the world, it affects the streets of Britain. Why? Because we've welcomed, in many cases, both sides of whatever conflict is going on abroad to our own country here. So you can expect action on the streets of Britain. Let's leave that there for now, and we'll come back to it in a few minutes' time, because there is a story very close to home that I want to talk to you about, and it's this one. The Metropolitan Police hired a child rapist because he was black, and they wanted to hit a diversity target. They launched the world's worst DEI scheme. They wanted to hit a quota of black, Asian and ethnic minority staff. So what did they do? Well, they went back through recruits that they'd initially rejected, looked for people who weren't white, dropped their vetting standards and hired them, just so that they could tick a box and say, yay, we're not racist. Look how progressive we are. Well, it turned out they hired this guy. This is Cliff Mitchell. He had already been suspected of child rape at the time that the Metropolitan Police decided to hire him. But, of course, he wasn't white, so the Met were happy to have him. He went on to be convicted of 10 counts of rape against 2 women, 3 counts of rape against a child under 13, 1 kidnap offence and 1 breach of a non-molestation order. In total, 114 vetting decisions were overruled by the diversity panel. 25 of those turned out to be criminals. They lowered standards to appease the diversity brigade, and they employed rapists and criminals. Cosmic. But this news comes just a couple of days after this.
Why are we only hearing about this now? Why is it that a report has come at lunchtime today from the Times newspaper that you had information on the 5th of September that there were likely to be vigilante groups within the West Midlands community itself who were planning to take action against the Maccabi fans? How is it that this committee is just hearing this for the first time?
Well, I think this is the first time specifically that you've asked for that detail. Well, that's what we tried. That's what we tried to get across.
Absolutely outrageous.
Ridiculous. West Midlands Police consulted mosques that hosted anti-Semitic preachers, didn't reveal details about armed Muslim gangs, and apparently relied on false intelligence just so that they could appease the Muslim community in Birmingham and ban Jews from coming. Nobody has been sacked yet for that, remarkably. In April last year, West Yorkshire Police temporarily blocked white British candidates from applying for jobs as recruits to its police constable entry programmes. Black and Asian candidates were allowed to apply early. In 2019, Cheshire Police was ordered to pay thousands after an employment tribunal found they had discriminated against a well-qualified white applicant. The force had rejected him despite his high scores in an effort to improve the representation of minority groups. Thames Valley Police were found to have engaged in unlawful positive discrimination. The force appointed an Asian sergeant to the rank without any competitive process or public advertisement. They had a make it happen mandate. Yay! I mean, make anti-white discrimination and the lowering of police standards happen. Fantastic. It's not just police forces who appear to have prioritised diversity over quality. The RAF discriminated against white male recruits. They fast-tracked women and ethnic minorities instead. MI5 and MI6 and GCHQ all have diversity drives. They launched a 10 to 11 week programme specifically for university students from black, Asian and ethnic minority backgrounds, as well as those from socially or economically disadvantaged backgrounds. Do we really want our intelligence services messing around like that? You know how we keep hearing about the threat of AI and cyber attacks? Well, Britain's leading AI security body, the Alan Turing Institute, scrapped its key diversity mandate after coming under pressure from ministers to actually prioritise national security over investigating social bias and workplace cultures. The London Fire Brigade declared itself to be institutionally racist. Then, when they were asked about why they were racist by Lee Anderson MP during a select committee hearing, they just couldn't give any examples.
Could you please tell me, Councillor, what unfair advantages white people have in your force?
I would hope not, none.
Do they have any advantages?
No.
Then how can you be institutionally racist?
Sorry, I might have to get back to you.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. People who say that Britain is racist are idiots. We need to stop this. Is Britain better or worse than it was 15 years ago? Is anything working better? No. We need to stop messing about with stuff like this and just hire people on merit. Let's get thoughts from my panel. Reform UK candidate Orla Minahan, Tory peer Lord Bailey and ex-Labour Party advisor Matthew Larser. Sean, I'll come to you first on this if you don't mind, my good man. What do you make of these, well, specifically in relation to the Metropolitan Police, lowering of their standards and hiring, in this case, amongst other criminals, a child rapist?
There's a couple of things I'd say. Firstly, this is a huge failing in their vetting, but it's a deliberate fail. It wasn't some kind of technical mistake. It was a policy failure. And I hesitate to ask for people to lose their jobs, but somebody does need to get a stern talking to over this because it's ridiculous. But what it shows you is there's a culture that's setting that people are terrified of confronting anything around race or what we would call protected characteristics. That's the first thing. The second thing, as a black person, I'm quite offended. I'd like to believe I could qualify purely on my own merit. And the point is, if you start putting women, black people, you know, gay people in places because of who they are, they'll never get any respect and never get the job done. And of course, in the context of the police, what's important, you literally could be talking about life and death. I'd say the same thing for the armed forces as well. What we need to do is go all the way up the line, find the civil servants, find the ministers, find whoever it is making this happen and remove them. because this is cultural now. And you would think after a sex grooming gangs case that people would have thought, OK, enough is enough. I feel safe enough now to do something on merit, not just around colour. It's important. And the other thing, of course, is you're ruining people's belief in any of these services. And what it is, it becomes lazy. The fire brigade saying it's institutionally racist is just to make people back off, just so people will leave them alone. Well, actually, make those people prove that you're racist or don't accept the title. Could you denigrate the work of all the good people, black and white, that are inside the service?
Which I think they are as well. I mean, that fire brigade officer, whatever she was, you know, you could see what Lee Anderson was trying to do there. He said, OK, well, give me an example of how white people are unfairly advantaged. She goes, no, they're not. No, they're not. To be proud, to say, oh, we're not racist. Well, why are you here, then? You just declared yourself to be institutionally racist. I mean, it's pathetic. But, I mean, look, what we've just done there, Ollie, is we've rattled through a variety of different police forces, the fire brigade, and actually MI5, MI6 and GCHQ, who have all submitted themselves to these diversity policies. Yeah, should it just be on merit?
Absolutely, absolutely. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are. The best person for the job is the person that should get the job. That's the first thing. Secondly, if your house was on fire, would you care if the man that came to put the fire out was black, white or yellow? Because I wouldn't. I just want the fire put out. So that's absolute nonsense. Going back to this police officer, this is a man who had... He wasn't shoplifting. He didn't have a fight outside a pub. He was a child rapist. The most vile, inhumane crime that you could possibly commit. But OK, because he's black, we'll take him. It is mind-boggling. I mean, look at Wayne Couzens now. Apparently, he slipped the net and they didn't know about him. But this guy, they knew.
Well, they knew he'd been accused of it. Yeah, so they knew that he'd previously been accused of it and that the charges were dropped, but obviously he'd failed the vetting procedure. And I think, look, let's be honest, you have to ask serious questions about someone like that.
Absolutely. And the thing is, why is it always the public sector where these things happen? In the private sector, you can't, if you get the wrong grade in your GCSEs, they'll withdraw an offer. But in the public sector, anything goes.
It's because we are not punishing the people at the very top. There's mandarins hiding in places who are setting these policies, who we are not pursuing. They need to be pursued. It's the only way the culture will change.
The Met Police, is that the worst ever DEI scheme, do you think?
Well, clearly there was something wrong with this DEI scheme. And diversity as a concept is really important, including in the Met Police. Common sense is also really important, and you cannot allow anything to triumph common sense. I mean, 132 people were allowed through because had their original, had their no turn into a yes in the Met because there's a diversity scheme. But overall, 17,355 officers out with the diversity scheme didn't have their references checked properly. So there was something seriously wrong in the Met. But look, absolutely. I mean, you saw that fire, the clip of Lee asking the person from the fire brigade, the fire service, and they just made an absolute fool of themselves. I'll get back to you on why institutionally racist. That isn't common sense, and that is what brings diversity into into parody, really. But the idea that you have a police force that looks, I mean, Sean, you'll remember the police force in the 70s and 80s in London was overwhelmingly white, didn't reflect London, and there were issues that arose because of that. You need diversity, but you need common sense.
There's two things I'd say. Firstly, you are never going to get parity in a place like London. There's not going to be an equal amount of... But it is nice to get some kind of mix. But the way in which you get that mix is not by patronising black people and saying we have to learn the standards because you're thick. What you say to black people is, let's get you up to this standard. One of the things that the black community suffers from is black graduates with no jobs. It's one of the biggest things there. So clearly up to standard. Encourage them to join. Encourage them to face the same trials that anybody else will be, black or white. Because one of the best things about being in a uniform service is having the respect of your colleagues. It's more important than in even any other job. And you can only do that because if you came in the right way.
Sorry, go on, Sean.
I was just going to say, because the other aspect of this is actually anti-white racism. Right? And that could be levelled at the feet of several of the organisations. I mean, in the case of the RAF, for example, I mean, it was anti-white discrimination that they were found to have committed there, and we are seeing that. I would argue time and time again. People don't like to talk about that, but right at the core of several institutions there, you could argue, I think, that there is a little bit of anti-white racism. Of
course there is, because they want to be seen to do the right thing. But just quickly on the police issue. Do you know the biggest problem with recruiting in to the police force is the pay? Would you? They don't pay him enough. Simple. I work with a guy who left the police force and came into the private sector and was earning double Double the money. He's not putting his life on the line every day.
I don't want to tell you that police officers are loaded, because it isn't true, but I will tell you two things. As a young person, if you join the police force, you start pretty high up the salary situation compared to other young people, and of course you get a good pension. I'm not suggesting joining the police force is the way to become a millionaire, but at this point it's a fairly decent career.
OK, just a quick sweepstake and we'll move on. Would you scrap all DEI schemes?
Yes, I would.
Would you, Sean?
Yes.
Would you, Matthew? No.
I absolutely would.
I would change
Why
the
Sean
nature
wrong?
of them.
Well, because actually when Sean was saying things like connecting black graduates, getting more black graduates into police force means about having sensible conversations, doing sensible diversity things, like, you know, answering the conundrum that Sean posed, rather than overturning people who shouldn't be getting jobs.
Yeah, but if you make a DEI scheme, you are patronising. What you should be doing is going and finding people who you would like to join.
It's a diversity scheme then itself.
It isn't, because as long as those people have to face the same training regime...
I agree with the same training regime.
Lowering the standards, lowering the vetting procedure. I get it. Anyway.
Don't lower the vetting procedure, don't lower the standards, but have the conversation.
But also, just on that quickly, I've seen protests recently where you've got female police officers that are about that big, and you could blow them over. What use are they to anyone? I mean, come on.
I mean, I admire their courage and bravery.
Yeah,
don't
but
get me wrong.
there needs to be an element of sensibility, of sensible hiring.
I agree. I have been a lot to report on several demonstrations for a variety of different things, and there have been numerous times when I've gone there and I've thought I'd take my hat off to this female police officer because she's very brave, but you know, she's tiny.
Exactly, and it's ridiculous.
Right, OK. Now, the Assistant Commissioner, Rachel Williams, said this. We are being open and transparent about past vetting and recruitment practices that led, in some cases, to unsuitable people joining the Met Police. We found that some historical practices did not meet the strengthened hiring and vetting standards we have today. We identified these issues ourselves and have fixed them quickly while making sure that any risk from the... to the public has been properly and effectively managed. Right, look, I've got a lot more coming your way. I'm going to tell you about this quickly. It's £85,000, the Great British Giveaway. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
It's a brand new year and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. £85,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year the best yet. And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. Imagine what the coming year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank. You can have the complete Lapland experience all in one place by visiting the Northern Lights Village. Or just safe in the knowledge that this year is on us. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, let's just have a little look at some of the weather here in Britain, because storm warnings right across the UK, and I was asking you, wonderful viewers and listeners, to send in your pictures and videos. This is Wales. Thank you to whoever sent that in. You can go to GB Views at gbnews.uk and get your videos and pictures sent in now. Gosh, that is really coming down, isn't it, the snow there. We go to Pembrokeshire now. Oh, the tree's over. Sorry, it took me a little while to cotton on there. I thought it was just a road at the beginning, and then I looked slightly to the left and realised the tree has fallen. Take care out there. Get back inside. What are you doing going outside? These falling trees. Go and take a picture for me. I'm glad that you like this show. It's not worth dying for. Thank you very much, though. Newton in mid-Wales. Ooh, you can see the wind seriously swirling there, can't you, in the snow? Look, thank you very much, everyone who's sending this in. And this is live footage from Brighton for you there, where the camera's actually shaking, isn't it? So, all right, gbviews at gbnews.uk is that email address. Get your extreme weather pics coming in. And again, please do take care. Now, very shortly, all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, but Iran is on the brink. Well, those are scenes from Iran. The latest I've seen is that there are columns of thousands and thousands and thousands of people currently marching on the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's headquarters in Tehran. The concern, of course, is what might be happening now that there's this media blackout, which is, are they just being massacred by the Ayatollah? Is it really the end of the Ayatollah? Is this the proper Iranian revolution? And what will it mean for you and me right here in Britain? That's next.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordmeat, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
The University of Bristol has been threatened with legal action by a leading academic who led a recent government review into sex and gender data collection.
Well, Professor Alice Sullivan claims her freedom of speech was restricted after a talk she gave was disrupted by a trans rights protest.
Protesters actually scaled the walls of the building. We were in a first-floor lecture theatre, and they climbed the walls in order to bang on the windows and sort of howl through the windows. It felt incredibly surreal in there. It was like some kind of zombie apocalypse. And they were setting off fire alarms to very loudly disrupt my talk. Eventually, we had to all move to another lecture theatre. And I learned afterwards that people trying to attend the talk had been severely disrupted by protesters who were not asked to stand behind barriers or anything like that. They were just allowed to intimidate and obstruct people who had come to hear me speak.
It sounds like a fairly severe dereliction of duty on behalf of the university. I mean, obviously everyone has a right to protest anything, and you'd think at a university anyone would have a right to give a talk, and yet there is this sort of heckler's veto that some try to play to try and keep out ideas with which they disagree. I mean, it seems to just go against the fundamental ethos of what higher education should be in this country.
That's absolutely right. I mean, I fully support people's right to peaceful protest, but this was not a peaceful protest. It was really quite violent.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, the breaking news this evening in what could turn out to be a historic evening is violent clashes between the Ayatollah's henchmen and thousands, if not millions, actually millions of demonstrators in Iran. Widespread anti-regime protests. It's their 12th and their significantly largest night. OK, so the protests have so far spread to at least 111 cities and towns across all of Iran's 31 provinces. We understand that the death toll is currently, well, the official death toll at the moment is 34. I'm just going to say that's obviously ridiculous. And the reason why we can't bring you any updates on that is because the Ayatollah's henchmen have turned off Iran's telephone and internet connections. And what you are seeing largely now will be clips, some of them, from a couple of hours ago. go. There are somehow some people getting more up-to-date clips out on social media, and I'm looking at ones in front of me right now, which are from Tehran, which show tens of thousands of people appearing to march on the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's headquarters. We're also seeing multiple vehicles on fire, and apparently, according to the sources here, they belong to their security forces. So this is shaping up, quite possibly, to be the fall of Iran. What will it mean for the Ayatollah? Will he stay? Has he already fled to Russia? Will he stay in Russia? Who knows? Anyway, the protests began on the 28th of December amid massive economic crisis, but that is basically inaccurate to say that this is all because of the economy. It's not. It's because they are fed up of the Ayatollah and his vile Islamist regime that has been plaguing not just Iran, but the Middle East and Europe as well. Closer to home, the BBC has faced accusations that it has so far largely ignored these protests. The Israeli embassy publicly claimed the corporation has maintained near total silence on the protests whilst giving excessive attention to the conflict in Gaza. Just in that advert break there, I went outside and I wanted to double-check whether or not we'd heard anything from our Prime Minister, from our Foreign Secretary, or from really anyone of note in this country in the Labour government. And unless I've missed it, I can't see a single thing. This could be the fall of Iran, and at the moment, our government appears to be largely silent on this issue. I'm joined now by the defence and security expert, Philip Ingram. Look, Philip, what do you make of what we're seeing here now? Is this as serious as it seems? Do you think this is the fall of the Ayatollah? What do you think?
Well, Patrick, it's probably too early to say it's the fall of the Ayatollah, but it seems to be that the Iranian regime is collapsing. Whether they can stop that collapse or whether it is going to continue and we'll see the Ayatollah being kicked out is something that will come apparent in the next day or two. And it's significant that Donald Trump made a statement earlier today threatening the Iranian regime that if they started to shoot the protesters, then he would step in and step in very hard indeed. I think we are on the brink of the collapse of the Islamic regime in Iran, which took power in a coup in 1979.
Yeah, I mean, it looks that way. It's difficult to see. It's difficult to see how they come back from this. I mean, this is an unprecedented level of protest and demonstration across, as we understand it, every single one of Iran's provinces. The concern is, Philip, with this media blackout. I was speaking to a guest earlier on who is an Iranian asylum seeker here in Britain. He's been here many, many years, but he was nearly killed. He was attacked with knives outside the Iranian embassy in London by some of the Ayatollah's foot soldiers right here in Britain. And he said that the last time that they did a media blackout and an internet blackout, they killed several thousand people during it. And the concern is that that's what's happening now in Iran, I think, isn't it?
It is the concern. You know, the Ayatollah's henchmen, or the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, now they are separate to the Iranian military, and there are effectively two governments. There's the government run by the Ayatollah, and then there's the official government with the president. But it's the Ayatollah's government that trumps the other one. So there's one that plays at party political games and plays at running a parliament and everything else. But it's actually diktats from the Ayatollah, who's backed by this Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, who have got a force called the Quds Force that provide these sort of terror-type organisations that are based around their embassies around the world that deal with dissidents, but they also then back up a lot of the terror groups, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and other groups around Iraq and elsewhere. And we've seen a collapse of Iran's influence across the Middle East. And we've seen an increase in protests in Iran itself over coming weeks and months.
Can I ask you what this means for us here in Britain? Because, look, the way that the modern world is, especially Europe and especially, unfortunately, Great Britain, is that whenever there's a major conflict anywhere in the world, it affects us directly here because more often than not, we've welcomed in both sides of that conflict, either legally or, of course, with what we're seeing on the ongoing illegal migrant crisis. We know that the Iranian regime, and this is directly from MI5, have trying to plot potentially lethal terror threats in Britain. Up to 20 Iran-backed terrorist plots have been foiled in Britain since 2022. Many of them were apparently targeting Jewish individuals, some of them more widespread. There is an Iranian trio that's been accused of spying in the UK who arrived in the country on lorries and small boats, exploiting the migrant crisis for their own ends. There are also various different mosques in Britain which are backed by the Ayatollah, including a couple where the imam of that mosque is appointed by the Ayatollah, and where they mourned openly the death of Qasem Soleimani, who was, of course, killed by President Trump in his last tenure as president. How do you see what's happening in Iran now playing out on the streets of Britain?
I think it's a difficult one. The Iranian government may try and lash out and create unrest in different countries around the world. However, I think they've got bigger problems at home, and therefore, there is unlikely to be Iranian-sponsored disruption in the UK and terror activity in the UK, whilst they're trying to go for regime survival in Iran. There's a bigger potential that what they'll try and do is do something to disrupt oil flow through the Straits of Hormuz, which would have a massive economic impact and shock across the world, and could put our fuel prices through the roof, because that is a last-ditch attempt to try and impact the global economy. But whether they've got the ability to do that or not, whether this protest that's going on is focusing on purely domestic, we just don't know at the minute, because they've cut the internet off. We're seeing the mass demonstrations. We need to look for defections amongst the police. We're seeing that in some of the different towns and cities.
So we are we, Philip? Sorry, just on that, because that's a really important point, because that is really another sign that it could be all over for the
a couple of nights ago, we saw that reports of that in one city. I haven't seen it reported anywhere else. The next thing I'll be looking for would be the military starting to put their arms down, but that would be the regular military. The Revolutionary Guards Corps are really hardcore. If they start turning, then that's game over for the regime. And there's a lot of chatter about the old Shah of Iran and his family coming back in to set up a monarchy again.
Well, yes, indeed. I mean, I think that question of what happens next is well, we have to wait for the first things to happen, don't we? Which is whether or not the Ayatollah actually goes. Just on that, Philip. I mean, there have been numerous reports in the last couple of days about whether or not the Ayatollah and the mullahs will go to Russia, whether or not they might have already gone. Yeah. What do you suspect is going on there? What do you think will happen?
Well, they're trying to escape to somewhere. They've lost their immediate support within the region. That would have been Syria. That's gone. We've got this alliance that's on between Russia, Iran, North Korea and China, the CRINC countries, the coalition, the evil coalition that's out there. They'll not go to China because the Chinese don't want Muslim extremists in there. They'll not go to North Korea because, again, Kim Jong-un doesn't want extremists there. So their only option is to try and go to Vladimir Putin in Russia. He hasn't given Bashar al-Assad a really easy time since he escaped from Syria. So they're not going to be in for an easy time, but it could be somewhere that they escape to. And once they leave the country, then their regime will collapse.
OK, well, look, Philip, thank you very, very much. We're going to keep you right up to date here on GB News, and just tease ahead to something I've got in the next hour as well. Going to be speaking to Vahid Beheshti, who was that gentleman who I was saying was nearly killed here on the streets of London. We're also going to be speaking to another gentleman as well to give us the very latest from Iran. Philip, thank you very much. Philip Ingram there is Defence and Security expert. Just like I said, a couple of things to watch. Will the Americans get involved tonight? What will happen to the Ayatollahs? How widespread is this? And what kind of action are the Iranian Revolutionary Guard going to take, both in Iran, but also their henchmen here in Britain? We'll keep you bang up to date. Coming up, they're all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. And yes, I imagine this story will be dominating. I'll bring you all the latest. That's next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The cold winds and the snow not just confined to the UK. In and around the Mediterranean, pretty blustery, and some heavy snow likely over the Alps. First really big dumps for some here of the winter. Some showery rain for the Algarve. It's generally fine in the Canaries. Showery rain moving into Italy and across Croatia and further south too for Greece. We'll continue to see the weather pretty mixed in Italy with further showers and some gusty cold winds to come. The weather remains pretty fine in Tenerife.
All All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello, very good evening to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Storm Goretti is battering the southern half of the UK, bringing heavy rain, some significant snow and damagingly strong winds to the southwest of the UK in particular. The low itself is tracking its way eastwards across southern parts, bringing a lot of unsettled weather. With that, there are a number of warnings out, including an amber for snow as we go through the night across Wales and the Midlands, but particularly a rare red warning for parts of Cornwall where gusts are exceeding 80 to 100 miles per hour, leading to some severe disruption here. As we go overnight, Goretti makes its way eastwards. As a result, the strongest winds in the southwest, they drop out, but we see further windy weather across southern counties, and that snow continues to build up across central parts with a lot of rain elsewhere across the south. Temperatures are dropping to around freezing across southern places. Further north with drier, clearer weather, temperatures similar to last night dropping into negative double figures across some places. Then through tomorrow, it's staying wet across eastern parts. There could even be some winteriness mixed in with the rain here, but nonetheless that rain could lead to some further flooding and travel disruption. Drier elsewhere, just a few showery outbreaks of rain, sleet and hill snow here and there. Maybe some glimmers of sunshine, particularly towards the west, and temperatures for most on the low side. A chilly, cold day generally, especially in the north. Another cold day to come as we go into Saturday. Mostly dry, mostly bright for many places. Some showery bursts towards the west and also towards the east. Then worth bearing in mind later on as we go through the weekend, while Sunday starts dry and largely cold, we are going to see a weather system coming in from the west. And as that bashes into that cold air that we have across us, well, there's the potential for some further disruptive snow. We'll have more on that nearer the time. That's it for me. I'll see you again soon.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, only on GB News. Let's give you the first look at the papers for tomorrow. The Metro, Wada Wally, he'll do time. Selfies with stolen cash, showing off nicked watches, how crime gang scored an own goal. It's an Albanian gang targeting the wealthy, apparently. The I paper, I've got here, Putin's shadow fleet in UK waters as ministers pledge to use hard power. So this is the latest development on the, well, Putin ship story, really. Apparently there's one in the Channel. It was in the English Channel tonight. Starmer had threatened, or the military had threatened anyway, to go after these ships. So will we, is the question, and what will that mean for us here? The Daily Telegraph, they go for Rachel Reeves to climb down on pub tax. They've also got a couple of other big stories here, really, which is Iran switches off internet as protests mount. So there we go. Yes, that's the latest from Iran, which we've been bringing you. The Daily Express go for cheers. It's yet another too late U-turn from the PM. Their picture story is Caring Catherine. Princess Catherine, we know the worth of the nation's NHS heroes. But if we just re-bring up that Daily Telegraph, if we can, for me, and I'll discuss this with the panel, because there's another story on the bottom right of the Daily Telegraph's front page, which is Starmer threatens to ban Elon Musk's X over AI. Britain could ban Elon Musk's X amid a row over its AI tool undressing women and children in photographs. Sir Keir Starmer said that he had asked Ofcom for all options to be on the table, after it emerged that sexual abuse images had been generated using X's AI chatbot. Number 10 sources pointed to the full powers of the Online Safety Act, which include fines of billions and even blocking access to X in Britain. Sean, should Sir Keir Starmer, can he even block X in Britain?
Blocking X in Britain would lead to a much bigger problem around how linked we are to American platforms, anything from Microsoft to Amazon Web Services, all those kind of things. So actually, it'd probably be a ridiculous thing to do. But let's be very clear, he absolutely should do something about that app. And the situation is simple as this. He could just say to X, you cannot perform in this country until you remove that app. That's what we want to happen. If you want to use that app elsewhere, good for you, but not in this country. And I think that's the correct thing to do because it is vile. It is very vile, and our children are exposed to such a hyper-sexualised world. This just adds to that, and he's right to stand up to them and remove this. He's on the right track, at least.
I mean, look, I hope it goes out saying that obviously all of that stuff that we reported on it last night, but all of that stuff about, you know, the AI images and the undressing of people and obviously children as well, especially, you know, is awful. And I hope that Elon Musk, who has managed to send things into space, will be able to sort that out. The other side of this story, though, is if it wasn't for X, Orla, we wouldn't be seeing anything like the stuff that we've been reporting tonight from Iran. We wouldn't have been seeing a huge amount of stuff like we saw over the summer here when there was various different bits of disorder and so. Yeah, X has been a tremendous platform for truth and journalism.
Absolutely. And when we look at mainstream media and how things are hidden, then X has, as you know, given the power to the people. There's, you know, you can have there's free speech to a certain extent. You know, so it's a really powerful tool. But Sean's absolutely right. You know, there has to be some kind of control around vile imaging, especially for children. It's so destructive.
Yeah, indeed. Matthew, your views. I mean, is Keir Starmer seriously banning X? I mean, the conspiracy theorists, of course, would say it's just because he doesn't like people criticising it. It's deeply unpopular on X.
Well, I think it's more that he's using this as a tool I don't think it's going to happen, but I think he's using it as a tool with which to beat them, to get them to take some action, to stop the sort of vile things that we've been talking about going on in the app. I mean, Trump would go absolutely ballistic if he did try and ban it. We've got a tech treaty with the states, which hasn't yet actually been brought into force. It wouldn't help that cause if he was to ban it. On the other hand, clearly he's outraged, as we all are, by some of the things we're seeing with the Grok AI technology. The nude photographs of people are, turning people into a nude is gross.
Yeah. Well, you would hope.
Vile.
You would hope that he wouldn't have to have this conversation. You'd hope he'd ring up and say, "Have you seen what people are doing?" They go, "Oh my gosh, we didn't realise. Let's get this done."
They need to take some responsibility.
Yeah, you really hope that they would take some responsibility, and they should do, because one of the big conversations we're having now is about banning social media for young people. This is absolutely leading into that argument, and it's making me feel like we should.
It's just so hard to police, though. It's virtually impossible to police, and children are far more tech savvy than we are.
All of that's correct.
You know, and it's so hard to police, but it has to be done, and I'm not sure how it can be done. And you're absolutely right. If they can send a rocket in so that he can do whatever he does, I'm sure he can sort that out.
All of that's correct, but we've got to make it harder for children to access this stuff. It being on the front of X is an open door. We need to slam that shut.
In the days when people, bought top shelf magazines, they were on the top shelf for a reason. Of course, sometimes people still got hold of them, but it made it difficult.
Absolutely. Now, look, we are going to be giving you the latest from Iran. There is, I've just received a voice note from someone, which I've not had a chance to listen to yet, which I'll tell you the contents of in a second. But he is someone that I believe, anyway, is one of the only people in Britain with contacts still in Iran that he can get hold of. And he sent me a voice note. I asked him for the breaking news lines. I will listen to that in this break, and I will bring them to you. Are we witnessing the end of the Ayatollah? And with it, of course, the end of a regime that has funded and carried out terrorist attacks right here in Britain, right across the West. What will it mean for us? That's next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Well, pub bosses say they face financial ruin after Rachel Reeves' stealth tax raid in the budget. As pint prices are ramped up, opening hours are cut and staff are laid off in desperate attempts to keep running.
So this morning we're asking, would you pay more for your pint to save local pubs?
Well, joining us now is pub owner Mark Bridgen and communications officer for the IEA, Reem Ibrahim. Really good to see you both this morning. Mark, let's start with you. We've spoken to you a lot about your lovely pub. Would you want people to pay more for a pint in order to save your business?
Well, it's looking like the only option. Yeah, with the increased taxes on every level and now the stress around rates increase and valuation agency, I don't know anyone that is making any money, so it feels like the only thing to do is to raise your prices. The irony is that actually at the moment many of us are actually putting down our prices to try and get people through the doors. You know, in a desperate bid to stay alive, we're having to, try and offer even more value.
Do you think the government is just tone deaf to the plight of our landlords of pubs and restaurants across the country?
They absolutely are. I mean, over 21,000 pubs have closed since 1980. That's half of that in the last 2 decades alone. So I really do think that the government have taxed, regulated, restricted pubs to the oblivion. But this is where I disagree with Mark. I don't think it's up to businesses themselves to say, you know what, we're going to remove our profit margins even further. We know that the hikes in national insurance contributions and increase in the minimum wage have a huge impact on small businesses.
GBNews, the People's Channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. I'm going to round off the front pages for you. The Daily Mail, pub U-turns too little too late. So this is if Rachel Reeves does swivel on the business race for pubs. Unfortunately, it is too late because loads of them have closed. The Guardian, go back home. Now 34 ex-pupils accused Farage of racist behaviour. Right. I don't know. I mean, does anyone apart from Guardian readers care about this story? I'm not really sure they do. Labour U-turn on pub tax rises, Minneapolis shooting as well, is what they've got. The Independent, yet another U-turn, Reeves set to scrap rises for pubs. And The Sun, Brooklyn goes legal in feud with parents. It's Brooklyn Beckham, who is, I think in competition with Prince Harry for most annoying son, really.
You should just cut him off.
Yeah, well, that'd show him, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just write him out.
Right, well, that big...
I'm not quite sure what the writ is about. We'll find out in the next hour.
Yeah. And The Times, by the way, top defence chief warns of need for extra £28 billion. Right, OK, so there we go. Can I just, if we were able to possibly just play a couple of clips that we're seeing out of Iran, because in the break there I was checking, and I spoke to a contact of mine who is very, very, very prominent Iranian journalist, and he says he's got sources in Iran still that are using Starlink, and what they have told him is that the Iranian regime and the Ayatollah pulled their normal police and the normal Iranian Revolutionary Guard off the streets and replaced them with the military, which he says is launching war on their own people. That's what he's saying. That's what he's claiming. We're not there. I'm not there. That is what my source is saying to us. Now, obviously, that would be the green light for President Trump to do what he said he was going to do if that happened. So that's the latest that I'm getting for you now from my source, is that he is claiming that the Iranian government is using the Iranian military against these protesters. Sean, if that turns out to be true, where's Britain in this? Radio silence so far from Starmer and Cooper.
It's not just Britain, it's Europe. Lots of people in this country don't like Trump. Lots of people in the political firmament, they say all horrible things about him, the papers hate him, and it's popular to hate Trump. But he is the only person who says or does things. And if you're in Iran tonight and you're out on the street and you're now facing the Revolutionary Guard, I don't pretend to be an expert on them, but I'm pretty sure they're a pretty hard-line bunch, right? You've heard the person that our press denigrates all the time say he will help. And then you've heard also that there's been a deathly silence from Europe. Europe should be saying stuff. We could be and should be at least as prominent as America in the world. We have all of the wherewithal to do that, but we seem to have a very little backbone. We should be supporting these people at least to stay safe. I get it, we might not want to get involved in regime change, but we do want to support these people to stay safe.
Yeah, I will just say that the person who gave me that information is the journalist Mayor Tusi, by the way. And it's important to credit him, really, because he's been in touch with me. So thank you very much for that. Someone who's bravely been standing up to the Iranian regime for a very long period of time. Just very, very quickly on this, Matthew, we're going to have to go. Sure. What do you think Starmer and Cooper should do in this situation that we're looking at here now?
Well, I think they're going to. I think they will be completely in support of the protesters. Clearly, change is coming in Iran. It's a question of when, not if. And Sean's right. Europe has got to stand firm, and that includes us.
All right. So look, we've got another hour here. We're going to go to all the front pages. Obviously, we're going to be covering this big breaking news. It's developing whether or not the Ayatollah is fleeing Iran as we speak. Have they launched war against their own people? We'll discuss that. On the front pages, though, lots of them are going with the U-turn on pubs. Yes, but is it too little, too late? For some of them, it's another Rachel Reeves U-turn. We're also going to be talking as well, of course, about Brooklyn Beckham, maybe, if we'll fit that in. Apparently, he's launching some kind of legal battle against his own dad. Try harder, Brooklyn.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good evening to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Storm Goretti is battering the southern half of the UK, bringing heavy rain, some significant snow and damagingly strong winds to the southwest of the UK in particular. The low itself is tracking its way eastwards across southern parts, bringing a lot of unsettled weather. With that, there are a number of warnings out, including an amber for snow as we go through the night across Wales and the Midlands, but particularly a rare red warning for parts of Cornwall where gusts are exceeding 80 to 100 miles per hour, leading to some severe disruption here. As we go overnight, Goretti makes its way eastwards. As a result, the strongest winds in the southwest, they drop out, but we see further windy weather across southern counties, and that snow continues to build up across central parts with a lot of rain elsewhere across the south. Temperatures are dropping to around freezing across southern places. Further north, with drier, clearer weather, temperatures similar to last night dropping into negative double figures across some places. Then through tomorrow, it's staying wet across east